When Jesus says, let us go over to the other side, Jesus is saying that in our kingdom, the way we advance is by retreating. It's counterintuitive, right? The way you move forward sometimes is by stepping back. The way that we make the most progress is by not trying to actively make progress sometimes. Jesus is saying that who you are at the core of your being is more valuable and more important to God than what you are able to produce. And in so doing, Jesus is cutting against the grain of our society in the city of Lagos. And this just comes to my heart now. I just want to say, particularly to some of you here, some of you don't need to work 2 jobs. You don't need to. But because that is what everybody around you is doing, that is what, what it means to succeed. They're like, how many more gigs can I get? How many more things can I do? You're just piling it on and on and on. Jesus is saying that who you are at the core of your being is more important than what you're able to produce. But the problem is that some of us sometimes, we have an unbiblical way of thinking about who we are. So let's look at this chart. So sometimes this is how people in Lagos think about ourselves. So if you're a Christian, you probably say something like, my spiritual life is very, very important. So like, there's my spiritual life. I need to do devotion and all of those things. My emotional life too. I shouldn't be too angry and all of those things. My relational life, and then my vocational life or my work life. Not very catchy. But my work life, where I work, all of those kind of goals are really important. And so you can multiply this, to infinity, depending on what stage you are in your life. And so many of us think of our lives as these different parts of things that actually don't have a relationship with each other. And so they are all important. I need to do all of those things. But actually, this is not a very biblical way of thinking about who we are as a person. Let me show you what I think the Bible uses to describe us more as people. Something like this. I struggled. I'm an art student. Well, I was an art student, so I struggled. What is this thing again? What did they call this thing? Yeah. It was a Venn diagram. You're judging me. Lola is judging me. But yeah, I think this is how the Bible talks about it. If you've read the Bible, particularly the New Testament. And so this is how the Bible talks about it. That you are not a composition of unrelated parts. You're actually more an integrated whole. That even though there is what is happening on the outside, your outer body is very important, and in some ways it's sort of different from who you are on the inside. But at the very core, you can't separate those two things. Those two things are intertwined. You are an integrated whole. And you see, what happens is that oftentimes the things that happen in the inside also affect what happens on the outside. And the things that happen on the outside also have an effect on what happens on the inside. Let's go to the next chart. And so here is where we often feel it, what I've called the integrated middle. Or sometimes, let me give you an example. We often see this through our feelings or through our emotions. And just a quick word for anyone here. Your emotions are more like a thermometer. They're actually meant to sort of show you where things are going wrong. They're not the ultimate test of truth, but they tell you where things are going wrong. And the idea is for us, under God, to be able to drill down deep into how our emotions are telling us things about how we are living internally, but also how we are living externally. So let me give you an example. Many of us would say, as we're coming to the end of last year, many of us would say, I am tired, I'm exhausted. And so some of us would think that, the way to solve that is by going on a holiday, right? Or doing whatever it is, something expensive that will just make you feel rejuvenated. But often that may not be the case. And so when you begin drilling deep, you begin to find that, I am tired, I'm exhausted in the integrated middle. I'm exhausted, and it's affecting me internally and externally. I'm exhausted because I am working overtime. I am doing too many things. I'm running around. I haven't created a nice schedule for myself. I haven't ordered my life rightly. So I'm exhausted because I'm doing too many things. But then as you also begin to reflect further, you drill deeper into that, what you realize is that I am exhausted because I am doing too many things on the outside, but the things I'm doing on the outside is actually as a result of anxiety inside. I am doing 2, 3, 4, 5 jobs because I'm actually anxious about my security and my future. Do you see? As you think more, you realize that what is happening on the inside also affects you on the outside. Let me give another example. Some of us have talked a lot about trauma, and I think Gen Z have done a lot to help us as a society think more about that. And that's not a shot. That is just the truth. And so, the integrated middle, what happens in the middle? We are feeling, so you can't really trust people on the outside. But as you think more and more about that, you realize, actually, it is because internally somebody wounded me a long time ago. Somebody did something, and now I'm in the space where I'm anxious around people. I'm in a space where my mental health is not as robust as it is. And so on the outside, it manifests as me withdrawing from people around. Do you see? You are an integrated whole. Your outer self is impacting your inner self, and your inner self is impacting your outer self. And Jesus says that it is in the place of retreating sometimes, in the place of paying careful attention to who you are on the inside, that you're able to become a better person on the outside.